Hey guys, very welcome to my podcast today. Thank you for joining me on my podcast. May God bless you all. So, in today's podcast episode, I want to talk about one of the five major elements of fitness, the actual pillars of fitness. So, if you actually, call someone fit, if an individual is fit, so he has to pass the test on all of these five parameters. These are the foundational pillars of being fit. So, these pillars are cardiovascular endurance, muscular endurance, strength, flexibility, and body composition. And in today's podcast, I would like to talk about the foundational, the most important element of fitness, which is flexibility. And unfortunately, flexibility is not that glamorous as we actually look at body composition. So if a person looks, lean, if he has a ripped body, if he has big biceps, muscles, so yeah, that is attractive, right? So there is incentive there. So personally, what I have noticed that if we talk about flexibility, which is the topic for today, which is the element of fitness we are going to talk about today, it is not that glamorous. I don't see people regularly training themselves for flexibility when I go to the gym, when I see people actually engaging in sports. And the worst part is that people don't even do a proper cool down stretching, don't do a warm up stretching properly. So I don't know. I mean, why it is actually like this that people do not take care of their stretching abilities, of their flexibility, because it is the major element of fitness which actually facilitates the improvement that you can make in all of the other elements of fitness. Though we all understand flexibility on some level, but I'll try to define it for you so that we have a clear picture of what it actually is. So, flexibility is defined as a range of motion in a joint or group of joints. In other words, it will be the ability to move joints effectively through a complete range of motion. So, the role of flexibility is very evident in sports like gymnastics, mixed martial arts, and even synchronized diving. So, it is very obvious to you that that in these sports, when you actually see the gymnasts perform in their events, you see how flexible, how agile they are, and it is very evident. And even when in mixed martial arts, when a person is actually giving a front kick or if he is doing a side kick, so it's very evident that they have a lot of flexibility, and flexibility is very important. But it is also very important in sports like football or basketball, where the person has to reach out to grab the ball, has to make a tackle, so he has to extend his legs, his arms to actually grab the ball or even shoot the ball. So, and why stop at basketball or even football? What about golf? In golf, also, when a person has to take a shot, he has to swing his arms and has to rotate across the torso. So, it requires a certain amount of flexibility, even of the shoulders and the hip flexors and even in the abdomen. The range of motion of joints have time and time again been proven to help increase acceleration, speed, strength of the muscles, which facilitate the performance in a sporting event, which help the athlete's health, which makes him excel in the sport. So, more flexible the body, the better will be the muscle coordination, lesser the chances of injury while the performance, quicker recovery after the workouts, and less muscle soreness after the workouts. So, that is where we talk about cooling down, which is a very important part of a workout. After the workout, a 5 to 10 minutes of static stretching is very important. Not only for athletes, the flexibility of the body is very important for even the regular working professionals, the homemakers, the elderly, and even children. See, many postural deformities you must have heard of, like round shoulders, scoliosis, which is the lateral shift in the spine, and can be a result of inflexibility, right? You must have heard about spondylitis, which is another major problem that people, especially the IT guys who sit in front of the computers for like more than 8 hours a day, face this in general, and it is very common. So flexibility is also required in almost all daily chores and proper functioning of the body. And with aging, you must have heard of these common problems like the pains that people have in their shoulders, in their knees, And as people start hitting 50 and even further, so they have these tightening of the hip flexors. They have many problems with the mobility of their knee, their shoulders. And unfortunately, but in today's time, we are seeing that these problems are not only hitting people after 50, but people in their 20s and their 30s all are facing such problems. Now, there are some factors that determine an individual's flexibility. So, like time, like some genetic components are there. So, body tends to become less flexible as one gets older. I mean, this is one of the most easy components that you can understand, right? You have seen people struggling with even sitting down with age. They have to sit on a chair. It's very difficult for them to sit down on the floor, crossing their legs. Now, coming to the genetic factors, like the larger the diameter of the bones, of your bones, like less flexible you're likely to be. Flexibility would also depend on the degree of elasticity of the ligaments and tendons. So these are like a couple of parameters that you cannot actually control. These are a couple of the factors that you get from the womb you come out. So it's really difficult for you to. I mean, it's actually impossible for you to change these. These are predetermined. The bulkier the body and the bigger your body structure, so more you'll struggle with getting into flexible positions. This is another thing that maybe you can control it a bit, but for the major part, the structure of your bones, the bone density that you have, all of these things are mostly predetermined by your genetics. But the good news for us here is that the scope of these factors is very limited. So what I mean here is that you might get a base point from these factors. You might have a standpoint that from where you can start improving, but the scope of improvement is almost next to like infinite. You can actually improve as much as you want with time, with a lot of consistent effort, and not even a lot of effort. We'll see into it later on that how just giving like 15 minutes a day can actually help you improve your flexibility tremendously. Now let's explore the ways in which we can improve a body's flexibility. So in broad terms, you must obviously be knowing the answer that stretching is the way that we can improve our flexibility. But now let's look at the ways in which we can use stretching to improve the flexibility, the simple protocols that we can bring into our daily life, which can actually help us improve the body's flexibility in the long term. Now, broadly, there are two types of stretchings that we can actually do to improve our flexibility. So one being dynamic and the other being static. So dynamic stretching is performed like dynamically, obviously by the name you can guess, until one reaches the edge of the range of motion. So once you reach the maximum range of the motion, you can actually just hold there for like very few seconds, probably 1 second, and then come back to the same resting position. So repetitively performing this kind of exercise is actually called dynamic stretching. Now, these are actually the active movements of the muscle that stretch the targeted muscle but are not held in the end position for more than a second. And so when we talk about static stretching, so it is a movement where you actually get into a stretching position until you feel tension. So that's your basically the maximal point where you feel the maximum stretch. That's the maximum range of motion of your joint at that certain level of fitness. So you feel tension there and you just hold that position for 20 to 30 seconds. Now let's explore some protocols specifically for the athletes, for the people involved in some kind of activity, from sporting activities. Maybe it might be sports, it might be working out regularly. So for such kind of people, let's talk about the protocols that they can follow for increasing their flexibility or at least maintaining the certain amount of flexibility. Because with training, there is a very high chance, especially if you're doing some weight training, strength training, there is a very high chance of you getting your flexibility decrease with time because the stiffness of the muscles keeps on increasing. So unless you're loosening the up, you're making sure that your muscles are becoming loose after every workout you do. You have to stretch them out. So unless you're doing that, it is very much possible that you might be actually decreasing your flexibility with time. So the simple protocol of actually doing a 10-minute dynamic stretching session prior to the workout, you can probably perform it just like once you have started warming up. Maybe you had a 10 minutes of light cardio to get some blood running in the system in your body. And after that, you can do 10 minutes of active stretching, active dynamic stretching. So it will actually help your body adapt to the stress that you're gonna give it in the coming time. It actually will help you perform better in the gym, increase the elasticity of your muscle. Very important for you to perform a 10-minute dynamic stretching session prior to the workout. Now let's talk about the static stretching part. So after the workout, it's very important for you to again have a 5 to 10 minutes of a static stretching session where you can do this while doing your cooling down, right? So after you have finished with all of your workout, after you're done, so while you're trying to catch your breath, you're trying to rest, it's important for you to follow some simple stretching exercises, static stretching exercises where you're holding your position for at least 20 seconds and up to 30 seconds. So it's very important there so that you can stretch out your muscles, leading to it will improve your chances of recovery. It will improve the rate. At the same time, it will probably help you in avoiding post-workout aches and pains, the muscle soreness that everyone feels after the workouts. So you'll be ready for the next workout in a very short amount of time, which is again going to help you in your long-term goal of developing strength, of developing all those 5 major elements of fitness that we have talked about. Now, for regular individuals who do not have a regular workout routine, a 5 minutes of dynamic stretching right after getting out of the bed in the morning will actually do the job for you. So once you get out of the bed, just you can just start doing your dynamic stretching movements. You can probably start with stretching out your arms, doing a little swinging of the arms, of the torso, of stretching out your hip flexors, of all your ankles, all the sore joints after you wake up. It's very important for you to open up your body. It will help increase the blood supply in the body. More blood will be reaching the muscles and joints, which will prepare the body for the day. So you will feel more active. Instantly, you'll just forget that you were actually sleeping and you hate waking up in the morning. It will make you more active. You'll be more aware and ready for the day. And so no, and sometime in the day, maybe during the evening time or maybe your lunch break in the office, you can probably have a 10-minute static stretching session. It will help you in improving the overall range of motion of your body. It will loosen the muscles. It will give some space for the muscles to actually develop itself, and at the same time it will help you improve your overall body's posture. So the major focus has to be on stretching out the hip flexors and the shoulders, because most of the problems happen in the lower back, and they happen due to the inflexibility of the hip flexors. And it basically happens due to we have the habit of sitting whole day, so we actually are locking all of our flexors. We are not letting them move in the natural way they were meant to be. So there's one more bonus tip that I like to add here, is that if you're sitting for a very long time, let's say for an hour or so, it's very important for you to actually get up off your seat after every 30 minutes and do a little stretching. So maybe you don't have to follow some kind of a proper stretching here, but you can maybe just stretch out a little. You can just do a little bit of of side bends, of maybe you can just straighten out your arms, your shoulders, a little rotation of the neck. So it will actually help you gain back your focus of the work you were doing, and also will help you with the posture. You'll become more aware of the way you're sitting. So it's again a very important thing for your flexibility, for the overall well-being of you. So trust me guys, I mean, following these protocols consistently over a long period of time will actually help you in increasing the flexibility. And the best part is, it does not take more than 15 minutes a day to do so. So guys, anyways, if you have enjoyed this podcast, if you have learned something out of it, if it has helped you in any manner, so please kindly share this podcast with your friends and family who would like to get some info like this, who's like to understand how to better their overall health. It's very important for them. And also guys, thank you for listening to this podcast from my side. Thank you guys. Signing off, Apurv.